Right.
Hi guys, welcome back to the Humble Gamer channel. I'm the Humble Gamer. I'm online with the TheFireBlades. The TheFireBlades is playing Rocket League in the background. And I am back on Train Simulator. I know I said Thomas would be taking the back seat, but that's just Thomas. Train Simulator, however, is here to stay. You'll get videos of this reasonably regularly. And this is the Great Marquess, an LNER 260 K4 locomotive, pulling 3 of the Barnum coaches I spoke to you about earlier in the Thomas the Tank Engine stuff. And we are running on the Crabenmore Branch line. It's available free on the Steam Workshop. Check it out down below. We're just going to... This is not a Let's Play in the sense of I'm not going to be critiquing the route or anything, because I've played this route a lot, I like it. But what we are going to be doing is we're going to be doing just a chat. Me and Russell just chatting about stuff while I have a run on a train.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna hit some balls with cars.
Russell is going to hit some balls with cars. I might join him on Rocket League later. I don't know. Some more drunken Rocket League between me and Russell could be good. Because both of us have had a bit to drink. Now we're starting here at Glen 8 Branch platform. There's the main line down there. We're ready to go, so let's get working. This is not going to be like the Thomas the Tank Engine ones. There's going to be no musical sequences. We're just going to have a run along and see what happens as we pull off. This Train Sim series, by the way, guys, is going to be very much... I'm going to look at... You won't see many of the Steam available routes, the ones that come out through Steam itself. You'll see lots of workshop routes that I'm running with locomotives and engines that I think fit on that route. So this is a short 13-mile run. Should take me about half an hour. Like I said, you won't see all of it probably. But yes, I should point out, since this video comes out not too long after the event has happened, according to my schedule, the TheFireBlades is now back on YouTube.
Oh yeah, apparently so.
Definitely check him out in the description below, particularly if you enjoy things like
medieval
things. What's the other game you're playing though? The other based on a book?
Yeah, I'm playing a. It's called Ken Follett's. Ken Follett is the author, and it's called Pillars of the Earth. It's apparently a very good novel based in the 1100s. 1135, I think, is the starting year, and it traces the lives of quite a few people. If you like Game of Thrones, give it a go. But at least have a look at my video, because it's basically they've released it on Steam on the 15th of August. Yeah,
so I can well recommend TheFireBlades channel. Also, going back in his history, he did a lot of good War Thunder and World of Tanks stuff, running down his garages and stuff like that. So if you're into that sort of stuff, World War II and medieval basically is what you want on the TheFireBlades channel. He's fantastic at what he does. Check him out in the description below. Also, check out if you're a fan of wrestling. Check out, because as you know, we do our wrestling belts and stuff. You may remember from Elite Dangerous Series 1 of the Ponsonby episode 7, I think it was. You may remember that we did we talked about the predictions thing that we do. It's well worth checking out, because Dave decided to cash in his title against Russell. Mistakes were made, that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah,
it's well worth checking out. But yes, we're now heading along the Crabenmore Branch towards Dalkinley. This is a fictional branch line, should be said. Again, check it out in the description below, along with TrainSim. This is available on the Steam Workshop for absolutely zilch. And it's well worth a look. You do need some DLC, but I don't remember that off the top of my head, so please do check out the link in the description below. Because I've played this route a couple of times. It's a very, very nice and well put together route. I mean, just look at this scenery. It just looks right to have this particular kind of locomotive, the LNER K4, and in particular the Great Marquess, which I'm assuming, Russell, you have heard of the Great Marquess.
Jesus, no, I haven't.
Have you not?
No, the Nigel Gresley is probably the most common one.
I believe the K4 was designed by Gresley. I will double check in my little Reader's Digest book of steam locomotives as we watch the K4 just sort of trundle through the countryside there.
The Gresley was an A4, I know that.
Gresley did design the A4, yes.
And there's one on the North York Mills Railway called the Nigel Gresley.
There is, yes, that was named after him. Sir Nigel Gresley, which I believe is an A4. Famous of course for Mallard. Just set up another shot of the...
Yeah, Mallard was the name of an A4, was it?
It was. Mallard was an A4 and is still the Steam World Record holder to this day. At 126.6 6 miles an hour.
Bastard, wow.
I think that's right. I'll find out in the description. I shall find out in between editing this video, and I shall put it in the video now. So either, yeah, I was right, or I was close.
The Mallard isn't actually a class of locomotive. You know those blue ones with that kind of weird streamline effect? That's called A4 classification.
It is an A4 class, yes.
It's not called a Mallard classification.
No, it's not. So get your train facts right. Train facts!
Yeah, you should do some train facts.
I should do some train facts. I will do some train facts in a second, once I can find out who I think it is a Gresley K4, but it could be a peppercorn, I don't know. So I just stalled a little bit there. Oh. They were primarily designed for working.
You stalled on the locomotive.
Well, I didn't stall. I just didn't put the regulator up enough, so I couldn't get up the tiny bank of 1 in 150 odd. K4. It is Sir Nigel Gresley. Introduced in 1937, January 1937. Mixed traffic. Classification 6P or 6F, so it was reasonably powerful. Regular duties were on the Scottish West Highland line, which is exactly where we are now. This route is set in the Highlands of Scotland, so this is exactly its terrain.
So, are you saying when you said like Nigel Gresley K4?
Yes.
Are you saying that the locomotive that's called the Nigel Gresley is actually a K4?
No. So Nigel Gresley was a designer.
Right, okay.
And he designed numerous locomotives. His magnum opus was the A4s, the 462s, your Mallards, your Silver Foxes, your Sir Nigel Gresleys, your Unions of South Africas. Okay. But he also designed this particular class, which is a K4. Because in each reel arrangement on the London North Eastern Railway, so for example 462, was reel arrangement A. And there were 4 classes of them, the A1s, the A2s, the A3s and the A4s. There were other subclasses, but we won't go into that now because while Russell is interested in trains, there is a limit, and there's also a limit to my knowledge while we pull into Dalkilney here. And the Great Marquess is an example of the K4 class. Now K was 260 wheel arrangement. 2 leading wheels, as you can see here. 2 leading wheels just there, 6 driving wheels and no wheels under the cab, no trailing wheels. And they were designed for mixed traffic purposes on the Scottish Highland Railway, which is pretty much where we are now. So this is Dalkilney. Nice little village.
Dalkilney now.
Dalkilney, nice little village next to a lock. And we're now heading to the titular station of Crabenmore. But yeah, so to clarify for Russell and for anyone else,
it's the worst restaurant menu ever.
Crabenmore.
It's like that bloody Monty Python. Spam, 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 spam.
What do you serve? Crab and more. What's the and more? Just more than crab.
Yeah, more crab.
But yes, so to clarify for Russell, and for anyone else who's watching this and maybe isn't necessarily a railway buff, Sir Nigel Gresley was the head designer for the London North Eastern Railway. I don't remember the dates. I will be putting them up next to my face now, along with a picture of Sir Nigel Gresley. He was the head designer, so he designed numerous locomotives. The Gresley A4s were like his best, but he also designed many other classes of locomotives for various works, shunting, passenger, freight, all that sort of thing. And he became a Sir because of his work in engineering, basically. He didn't just work for the LNER, he worked for other companies as well, but all his best work was done for the LNER. So yes, so the class of A4, Russell, was designed by Nigel Gresley, and one is named after Nigel Gresley. But the K4 is a different class of locomotive. It's like saying, you know, like the designers at Honda designed the Civic and all the other Honda cars as well.
Okay. So then you get like the freighters are like the 8 something. Like
280s, 080s, 282s on some railway, on some regions. Obviously in America you get things like the 4884 Big Boy, which is a Garrett design, which is basically an articulated locomotive because it bends. The boiler doesn't, but the wheels, it's got lots of independent wheels. We did have Garretts in this country. Not very many of them. I believe the LMS had the only Garrett, which was a 2662. I think I've got it in this book actually, the LMS Garrett. I'm sure I do.
awesome locomotive handbook that he's got, like the 1930s, something like Can I Drive or something, and it's basically essentially like a story of a young boy who wants to learn about steam locomotives.
Oh yes.
And basically the knowledge that we get from it is done in the point of view of the engineers telling the young boy how the locomotive works.
Oh right.
So we essentially assume the character of the young boy
Nice.
as the engineers tell him.
Oh, I like that.
I'm probably going to get that from him later on, because every time we get to the York Railway Museum, he has to tell me about how it works.
Yeah.
And it's kind of this little tradition that my dad and I have now.
Nice. So here we are, the Bayer Garrett class in the London Midland region, 2662. The only yeah, it says in this book, additional identification features. Unmistakable, okay? Cool.
Yeah. Like, it's fucking there, right?
It's basically two 260 engines, two 260 locomotives that share one boiler. That's what it looks like. The only Bayer Garrett to be used widely on British railways other than narrow gauge railways. Because the Welsh...
capable, is it?
The Welsh narrow gauge railways they had some wonderfully interesting designs, and we will do a Welsh narrow gauge railway on these TrainSim things, so you'll get to see some of them. Here we are, we're approaching Crabenmore. I'll send you that photo in a minute, Russell, because that engine is a bit of a beast. But we are approaching Crabenmore now on final approach. We're about halfway along the route now, so we're making good progress, making good time. This is the perfect route for an engine like this. I could have put a big express locomotive on here, but that just doesn't look right.
Yeah.
And also, as much as I like big express locomotives, I do have a big affinity for the small locomotive. Tank locomotives are my jam. I love them. The more weird and wonderful locomotive you can find me, the more likely I am to drive it.
Those are tank locomotives as opposed to any other. Is it like without a tender at the back or something?
Basically, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yes, the difference between a tank locomotive and a tank locomotive. A tank locomotive, using Thomas the Tank Engine, because this is probably the easiest reference for you. Thomas is obviously a tank engine, which basically means all the water is kept in the tanks either on the side, or a saddle tank, which is the tank that goes over the top, or a matchbox tank like on the Great Western Railway, which is what Duck looked like. Thomas is a tank engine, Percy is a saddle tank because the tank goes over his boiler, and Duck is a matchbox because his tank looks like a matchbox. The difference between them and tender engines is simply because one of them has a tender to carry all the coal and water in and one of them doesn't. Yeah, as we head away from Crabenmore. There were also what they called well tanks, where the tank was at the bottom of the locomotive and it worked like a well. The water was drawn up from it.
How? Why? Why not just have a tank? Why?
Because of loading gauge restrictions and weight restrictions.
Gosh.
The well tanks, the most famous were the BT well tanks, the 240s, so 2 leading wheels, 4 driving wheels and nothing at the back. Right. They were used on the China clay railways in southwest England.
I think there's one of those ones in the National Railway Museum.
I believe there is. If you don't know what I'm talking about, by the way, the BT well tank can be seen here, next to my face. So here we are, we're now heading towards Tarbridge, which is about 1.3 miles away. Actually, on the map we are passing the distillery, which I shall show you very briefly, which is over here. They've done a wonderful job on this distillery, lots of detail in here, and obviously you can shunt a few trucks around and do some scenarios, but I've just set up a very basic passenger scenario. But yes, no, the distillery looks absolutely lovely. How is Rocket League going?
Oh, I won that match. I am now on Wings of Prey. IL2 Sturmovik Wings of Prey.
Oh yes, you're on your War Games.
Which is different from the Cliffs of Dover.
Right.
Which is weird. Basically, if you've ever played War Thunder Airplane,
yeah,
then that is basically Wings of Prey.
Nice.
It's made by the same guys. It's the same game engine. It's the same mechanics.
But it's just a different name.
Yeah.
We're just watching the Great Marquess come round a very elongated S-bend on the Crabenmore Branch as we head towards Tarbridge, which is what the Queen calls that very nice big bridge in the middle of London. Tarbridge!
Oh, yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I wouldn't say it's going rushing past, about 25, 26 miles an hour. But quick enough to make up the time. Not that we're late, because it's not a properly timetabled scenario. Let's jump back into the cab now. The cab in this locomotive, by the way, the K4, which is produced by Steam and Dovetail Games, is absolutely lovely. It's very well designed, very well thought out, and it is, of course, animated. You can see the whistle bar going down there. I hope the information me and Russell have given you so far has been intriguing and interesting.
Yeah, it's trains. Might as well get some train facts in here.
Exactly. You know, you've seen me do the fictional stuff with Thomas the Tank Engine, me talking to you about how I created a route. This is me running along someone else's route with someone else's trains. Basically taking the easy route for TrainSim for a bit. You know, I held off doing TrainSim a lot on this channel for about nearly 4 years. Until that one time I didn't have enough footage for Elite Dangerous, so I thought, I've got to put something out. Fuck it, Thomas! But I'm very, very glad that I actually did it now, because it means that I can properly enjoy something and share it with you guys on the internet.
Yeah,
so
that's why I'm doing my Crusader King.
Yeah.
A bit like that.
I think there's something to be said that is, not just me and Russell, but it's something to be said for watching people do something they truly enjoy.
Yeah, they're good at it.
Yeah, they react. Not only that, but they react to it differently. You know, they'll put more effort in. They're animated. They're much more alive when they play it. I'd much rather watch a gamer or a YouTuber personally play a game that is of something that they enjoy, even if I don't like it. But if they get animated about it, I'll get animated about it. So
yeah, they're in their element.
Oh, I've actually missed the platform at Tarbridge, so back we go. I do believe we've only got one stop left to make. Oh no, Calbracken Ferry. And then Port Dornoch. This is the entire route, by the way, in the sort of line drawing map you have on TrainSim. It's quite nice, 13 miles. There is something majestic about an engine, just a steam engine. I don't know what you feel like. I know, Russell, you enjoy your diesels as well.
A little bit. Steam will always win it out for me.
Yeah, there is something very majestic about a steam locomotive as we watch it pull away majestically.
Oh, yeah. Because it looks like it's breathing.
It does.
It looks like it's actually going, right, come on.
It does. That was actually how the Reverend Audrey got the idea for Thomas the Tank Engine when he was a lot younger. Because he was, I believed he lived near the Lickey Incline on the Great Western Railway. Or certainly, that may be Birmingham, so that might be London Midland, but I know it was an incline on the Great Western Railway. Well, obviously they had to have 2 locomotives push the train up. They had to have the loco at the front, which was driving it, and what they called the banker at the back, which was pushing it. And he used to imagine while he was lying asleep in bed, he used to imagine the engines talking to each other.
Oh, nice.
Like, you know, I can't do it, yes I can, I'll help, all that sort of stuff. So that's where you got the basic idea from. And actually, if you read interviews or watch videos or just listen to people who've driven a steam train, they do talk about steam engines having moods. You know, there was that bit in Top Gear where they did the race between the car, the bike, and the train.
Oh, yeah.
And the train, the engine decided, what's it called? Tornado, the newest A3 locomotive, the only A3 in existence, actually, because they were all scrapped, all the rest of them. Another Gresley design, I think. Oh no, it was Peppercorn, I think, the A3. I'll check it in a second. But yeah, at some point it just decided it didn't have any water in its boiler. It, of course, did have water in its boiler. It came back almost immediately.
Didn't they call it its time of the month?
Yeah, they said it had its time of the month. And engines do that. They do react differently, steam engines. Diesels, and there's nothing against diesel enthusiasts, there are some lovely diesels out there as well. I enjoy playing with diesels occasionally. They're a perfectly valuable, and they were the natural progression. We couldn't live off steam forever. It was inefficient and it was time consuming.
They were objectively better.
Yeah, they are. They're more efficient. They're more powerful generally. They are easier to use. They're cleaner.
What, diesel?
Well, yeah, not necessarily for the environment per se, but they're certainly because you don't have to empty out a firebox. The firebox at the front that got covered with the smoke box at the front of the engine, the big black thing just here. That would get full of soot, which you had to clean out at the end of every day. And that was a nasty job, and of course, you know, not to mention, that's what they did.
Yeah.
To be a driver, you had to be an apprentice fireman first. The apprentice fireman not only had to shovel coal at the rate the driver dictated by whichever speed he was going, but he also had to do all the crappy jobs.
Oh yeah. That was back in the day, wasn't it? You started off the apprentice shoveling all the shit.
Yeah.
And then you got the actual decent job.
Yeah.
They were essentially in their jobs for life. Even my parents, you know, my dad was born in 1946.
Yeah.
And he was in his job as a printer until retirement. My mum was just the same.
Yeah. My dad
now I've like hundreds and loads of jobs.
Yeah, my dad was born in 1948, and I'm sure he won't mind me telling the internet this. But he was working at an office job of some description. I don't know the full details. But he then decided, I'm not going to do this anymore. I want to be in a band. And the band was successful, and he went to his boss at the time, this other job, and he said, I can't remember what the boss name is. We'll call him Mr. Smith for whatever reason. He said, Mr. Smith, I'm actually going to leave because I'm going on tour to I think it was Denmark he went with the band, or Germany, one of the two. And his boss said, well, you'll never work around here again, lad. And my dad just kind of went, okay, it's not an issue. The band didn't pan out, sadly. They were professional for about 4 or 5 years, toured Germany, Denmark, US air bases, that sort of thing. And then he worked with mentally handicapped children until the day he retired. But yeah, so we're now pulling into Calbracken ferry platform. Presumably that is the ferry. Yes, it is. On the lake. Loch. We're in Scotland, it's on a loch. Not a lake. Makes sense.
Don't say Lake Loch Ness.
Lake Loch Ness.
Lake means loch.
Lake. Well, we think. We're not sure.
Well, I heard it from Billy Connolly. So
does it actually just mean? Oh, fair enough. But if Billy Connolly said it, then
if Billy Connolly said it, therefore
it must be true. Do you remember that kid who asked? You must have known, because I think I heard it off one of your DVDs. That kid who asked Billy Connolly to swear at him.
Oh yeah.
He was desperate for the. What was it? He was, Mr. Connolly, could you please tell my son to fuck off?
Yeah. He came up to Billy Connolly while he was walking and said, "Oh, Billy, I'm sorry to bother you on your day off. I was wondering if you just, I got my little grandson here. Do you mind just singing a autograph for him? Hello." Yeah, sure, yeah, there you are. All the best, Billy. I'll carry on my walk. And then I get a noise again. It's like, oh, Billy. And I'm so sorry to bother you, on your day off, on your walk and things. My son was wondering if you could tell him to fuck off. He said, yeah, sure, give me a book.
Of course I can.
Fuck off. Fuck off.
I love that. Can you please tell my son to fuck off?
Yeah.
Right, fuck off, you wee little bastard.
And the son was like, yes! God, it was in his world tour of England, Ireland and Wales.
Yes,
I know that for definite, because it's still, to date, one of my favourite DVDs.
Oh, I love Billy Connolly. Absolutely love Billy Connolly.
Because not only does he do, obviously, his comedy set, shows highlights and clips of his comedy set, but he also actually takes you to the places he sees.
Yes.
It's fantastic. It's so warming, it's got that lovely atmosphere to it.
The great thing is he also did a world tour of New Zealand, and as an honorary Kiwi, in that my dad was born in Auckland, and so as far as they're concerned, I'm a Kiwi. True story, by the way. I actually contacted the New Zealand consul in London, and they said, yeah, you can get citizenship, just pay us some money. I was like, I'm not going to do that yet. But I am a Kiwi by birth. Well, blood, not by birth. But yeah, he did some wonderful stuff on both those world tours of England, Scotland and Wales, and the world tour of New Zealand. Can't recommend him enough. Yeah, we are now leaving the ferry, Calbracken ferry or something like that, and we are heading towards Port Dornoch, which is the final destination on our little jaunt here. So actually, as we come towards the end of this video, if you do obviously like what you see, please like and subscribe. But if there's any routes you want to see from the Steam Workshop, let me know. Tell me what they're called and I can find them and download them. If you want to see any particular locomotives being driven, let me know. I'm not a stickler for I don't have to drive an LNER engine on an English line. I'll happily drive a big boy through London, or drive a tiny little tank engine through New York or whatever. So let me know what you guys want to see. Please do check out Russell's channel, by the way. It's well worth a watch. I actually need to catch up on your channel, mate. I am behind on watching your videos. But yes,
I've done a massive amount. That's not it.
No, but still, you've done a fair bit. And also, do check his back stuff as well. Stuff he did when he first started. There's some hilarious videos on there, particularly a Euro Truck Simulator video.
Sure.
Where we might have fucked him over. How's the flying going?
Oh yeah, it's fine. Just annoying, It's a game about it was the Battle of Britain, and now it's gone to Russia, and the narrator of the action has still got an American accent.
Of course they do.
But in the PS3 version, he had an English accent.
Oh.
Yeah.
How very odd. I wonder why that distinction was made.
Oh, I don't know. Annoys me. Like, is the Battle of Britain? He's English. Yeah, maybe there were a few Americans fighting in Spitfires for the RAF.
They might well have been.
There may have been a little more English.
Yeah,
fighting
to
for the RAF.
To quote Sherlock Holmes, balance of probability here is that he was probably English.
Yeah, he was probably English, but apparently every single World War II game ever
has to have the
British
Americans in.
has to have some token fucking yank. Jesus Christ. It's like the English were never born. But then again, RAF, we have Polish, we have Hindus.
Yeah, we did. We
have
have
Muslims,
Polish,
we have all
Indians,
Muslims,
Pakistanis, Australians, New Zealanders.
Yeah, New Zealanders, they had their own wing,
Now,
didn't they?
we should point out the only reason they were there is because we did have this incredibly imperialistic, racist empire going at the time.
The
but
Commonwealth.
that does not change their contribution to the war. And it should and will rightfully be remembered.
Yeah, they still did right.
They were
by
phenomenally useful and vital,
Christ.
pivotal, in fact, to the war.
Obviously, the Yanks did their part as well. But
Yes,
when
the
I
Americans
played
did
World
do their
War
bit.
II game featuring the Battle of Britain and the Royal Air Force, I'd at least would like to play as one of the 99% of Brits.
Yes,
that's right there.
a little bit of historical accuracy wouldn't go amiss, game developers.
Yeah. Stop putting Americans in your World War II games if there's not an American force nearby. I'm happy to play as the Americans if I'm in like a Sherman tank, or if I'm like in, you know. Jesus Christ. My granddad fought in Burma. He was an air traffic controller.
Very nice.
But apparently the Americans won the war in Burma, so
Yes.
that's all I've played as in these fucking games.
To swing it back to the railway base,
Bring
let's
it back
play.
to the railway, sure.
We are now arriving at Port Dornoch. We've done it in 33 minutes, give or take. Put the brakes on a bit too hard there, since I've got 3 coaches that need to be all on the platform. Just give a final little bit of regulator as we pull in. That should be enough, and so slam the brakes on. Make the passengers all lurch forward in their seats.
Yeah.
I see, isn't this been a wonderfully calm railway to fucking hell?
Part of the charm.
And so yes, that is the end of the Crabenmore Branch line. This is Port Dornoch, which I think is again a very well made town. I like this this thing. I think it's a wonderful route. Check it out in the description below. Also check out obviously Train Simulator in the description below. Also, thank you very much for watching. Check out Russell's game in the description. Check out Russell's channel, TheFireBlades, in the description below. Check out my Thomas the Tank Engine Sodor Snippets playlist in the description below. Also, check out the game, as I've said, in the description below. Thank you very much for watching. I was me, he was him, that was Microsoft Train Simulator on the Crabenmore Branch. Goodbye! Percy, peep peep, traditional steam railway greeting. If you do not peep peep, you're being incredibly rude. Oh God. Oh Jesus! Maybe came into those corners a little bit hot. In fact, maybe came into this station a little bit hot. Well, I missed stopping at Ellsbridge.